Hello all, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome to my channel. In today's story, OP reaches out to Reddit because he's very distraught about a revelation that he had with his parents. He's not included in their will at all, and although it might seem like initially there's a financial incentive behind his emotional response, if you look down deeper, his response is actually rooted in the fact that his sister has always been favored by his parents. This post was made on November 7th, 2012, and the first update was about 12 hours later. However, OP did find a repost of his initial updates and was able to comment on them, thus giving us over a 10-year update. Things do end on a happy note, so I do hope that you enjoy this story. If you do, please leave a thumbs up. And before I move on to the story, I just wanted to take a second and thank all of my subscribers. Thank you so much, you guys are amazing. For those of you that don't know, I have a personal goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. So if you like my content and would like to support me, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and on to the story. My parents, a 58-year-old male and a 63-year-old female, have taken me, a 23-year-old male, out of the will in favor of my sister, a 26-year-old female. Am I wrong to be so angry about this? Recently, I was helping my parents with doing a bit of late spring cleaning and throwing a lot of old rubbish out when I came across what I assume is the most recent copy of their will. It was dated June 2012. I didn't mean to look at it, but when I moved it, I noticed that in the beneficiaries section on the front, only my sister was listed. Then, I know it was horrible of me to do, I decided to have a read through it. I'm not in it at all. My sister is listed as the sole beneficiary. She will get their house, life insurance policies, savings, car, absolutely everything. They aren't rich people by any means, but due to the way that the property prices have risen since they bought their house in the 80s, this probably comes out to be about £500,000 in total. They've always had a thing with favoring my sister a bit more than me, giving her extra attention and stuff, but I've never really minded. She is a bit of a screw-up, and if I'm honest, she has needed the extra attention. I'm not going to lie either, my financial situation is a lot better than my parents'. I'm engaged, and together my partner and I, no kids, make about £45,000 a year, whereas my sister is a single parent of 2 children. There's a deadbeat dad, but he doesn't pay any child support, and she earns about £16,000 a year. I know that this is a huge gap, and I would understand if they left her a greater share to help her out more, but leaving me with nothing just seems so harsh. Whilst my fiance and I do earn more, we aren't exactly rolling in money, and even if they left me only 20%, it would still be more than enough to help me start to buy a house. Obviously, this is all hypothetical as they're both perfectly healthy and have a long time in them yet. It just seems harsh that if they were to die tomorrow, my sister would be set whilst I would be left with nothing. Am I right to be angry about this? Should I confront them about it or not? I know it's not my money at all, but she's a terrible daughter to them. Over the years, she has lied to them, stolen money from them and me, had to be bailed out, and fines paid for drug charges, etc. She barely even finished school as well, so whilst she is financially worse off, it's only because she has made herself so. On the other hand, I visited them all the time, helped them out whenever they ask, went to university, which they had always wanted me to do. I paid for it all by myself with no help from them, and it just seems like they're punishing me and rewarding her for being such a failure. And then OP added some additional information. With me, they've always had the parenting style of letting me make my own way. If I wanted something, I was expected to do chores or get a job and pay for it. I don't mind at all, it's made me more responsible. Whereas with my sister on the other hand, they always bought whatever she wanted and never really expected as much from her as they did from me. Hello all, thank you all for your responses. I think that the vast majority of you understood what I was upset about, with only a few people thinking that it was about the money rather than a validation of what I had always believed at least a little bit in my heart, that they prefer my sister. I wanted to get this sorted out as soon as possible and booked the afternoon off work, and I then went around to see them and learned 2 new things about myself from my parents. The first, I was an accident. Apparently, after my sister, my mum had a miscarriage and they decided not to try again, and then a year later along pops me. Because I was unplanned, they hadn't really thought about their finances, and so for about a year and a half, my dad had to work 2 jobs and has always felt like I made him miss out on my sister growing up, and because he rarely saw me, he never really connected with me. As for mum, the previous miscarriage had put her off of having children. She was content with her little girl, and by then, age 39, was quite happy to be done with having children. The second, they're disappointed in me. They don't like my fiancé. They don't like that I live 40 minutes drive away. They are sad that I chose accounting instead of doing a law degree. But most of all, they're disappointed that I'm not closer to my sister. This sister, who's friends with the girl who spent most of her life bullying me, who has treated me appallingly, who stole money from them regularly until she moved out, and who I was persuaded to lend £2,000 of my savings for university so that she could clear some debts. She never paid that back, and I had to get into a lot of debt myself to get through my final year. It's not even like I'm horrible to my sister now. I love my niece and nephew and I spoil them all the time, and for their sake I will help her out from time to time with money for food and bills. Apparently, this is why I'm not in the will, and have never actually been, except when I was younger, where custody of me would have been given to an aunt until I was 18. They have never seen me as their son. I was always a bit too distant and self-reliant, and apparently that made it easy for them to love my sister more. I'm not down to get anything as they don't really view me as part of the family. Me going away for 3 years to university made it worse, but it's something that they've always felt. They asked me if I felt that it was wrong what they did, and said that they would change it, but only a little bit. My sister would still be the main beneficiary, and I would get something from them. I know you guys will probably be disappointed with me for my response, but I just left. I told them that I didn't care about the money at all, and that if they can't see me as their son, then I no longer see them as parents. Too long didn't read. I'm excluded as my parents are unhappy with my life choices, despite never telling me so before. Also, I was unwanted, and so they have never really connected with me or viewed me as part of their family. Because they were so focused on my sister, and because I was so self-sufficient and grew up faster, and that made them feel more distant. My sister means more to them than I, and they do not want to change their minds or try to work things through. I have no parents now. However, on a positive note, my future in-laws are awesome, and I have been calling her mother mum for a while now, so I do kind of get some parents. I'm just posting this as a little update. I found this post when browsing best of Reddit and managed to remember the old password. I'm now 33, happily married, 2 beautiful daughters, and running my own business that I started during COVID lockdowns, which has basically helped us become fully financially independent. I have 0 contact with my parents or sister these past 11 years. Parents are still alive, and as a result of insane house price increase in the UK, they're probably worth close to $1 million now, and I'm fairly certain that my sister is waiting for them to die. From what I've heard from other people, her behavior has improved. She's no longer stealing stuff, but she's still broke and in a dead-end job because she has virtually no qualifications to get anything better and no drive to improve herself either. The only person that I'm in contact with is my nephew, who's my sister's son. He's nothing like his mother, has an absolutely brilliant mind, and is currently at university studying maths, and my wife and I help him with living expenses because he wouldn't have been able to go without it, and to be honest, with his mind, it would be a waste. So guys, what did you think about the story? Please let me know in the comments down below. I for one have always hated people that favor one child over the other. They're your children. You gave birth to them. They should be treated equally. This level of disparity in favoritism is unfathomable to me. I am so glad that OP's okay. I'm so glad that he's happy. From his comments and posts, it does look like that he's managed to heal from it and move on. And I'm so glad that he gave us the 10-year update. So please let me know what you guys think. Leave it in the comments down below. If you did like the story, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories from Reddit with updates.